Hi. So in the last video we saw what a JSX is and the difference between JSX and HTML, and we also saw in the end that what a component eventually is. So the component was a function or a class which basically returns some JSX or some form of JSX. Alright, so now what we'll see, we will learn about props, right? So first we will see how to what a component is, right? We learned about a component like it's a function that returns a JSX, but that's not enough. Okay, we need to understand what a component means in React, in the world of React, and where do we how do we create a component, and then eventually we'll see what are props and how to communicate between components using props. All right. Okay. Alright, so now I can see that I've deleted everything from my app.js file. So it's an empty and I have nothing inside there. So you can see in my browser there is nothing. So I'll simply type hi there. So the text is in the middle. As in the app.css, you can see that we have display flex and all those properties from the last session. Alright, so now I want to create a card. Okay, I'll explain the thing here. So I'm going to create a card where I'll have a title, which let's say is a title of a post, right? And then below it, I'll have my body, some text, uh, and then below that, I'll have some publisher detail. Let's say who's the author and what time it was created, right? So that is why I'm creating this card. Okay, so this is simple HTML, right? So inside my card, I want a div of title, right? And it should be a p. Then my title should be the title or anything. And then after title, I want a div of body. There I'll put my lorem 20 text, right? And after body, I want a class of publisher. All right, and then I have a text which will be by and hyphen and the author's name, which is Yash. And after that, at what time? So at today 9 p.m. right? So this is how it looks. Okay, so and I want multiple cards, right? Because it's like imagine it is a blog site and it has multiple cards from different authors and different time, right? So now what I want to do, I want to okay, let's first handle the CSS and then we'll copy this card multiple times. So let's say this is my card div, and I'll just simply hold shift and option and then down arrow. Then I'll have 3 cards and they're aligned like because we have display flex property in my CSS file. Okay, so now let's apply some CSS. Okay, so first let me remove all those settings and I'll create my card, and I want to give it a background color of this, and then I'll give some width. Okay, so you can see this how it looks. This is how it looks. And then okay, so now let me paste this color because this looks quite good. And let me go to my app class and I'm going to change the color to white, which is triple F or X time F. Alright, so now you can see that there is no padding and margin, or so I'll give my card a padding of let's say 20 pixels and 30 pixels. Okay, and also I want to give some margin, 10 pixels. Yes, this looks nice. And also some border radius. Oh, this is not some React stuff, by the way. This is just styling. Okay, so I'll give it a border radius of 18 pixels. Okay, just to give that roundish thing. Okay, so this was about my card, I guess, and we'll see what we can do. Okay, and now I have some classes in for the text. So for my title, I want to give it a font size of 1.8 rem. Okay, so yes, 1.8 rem. And then for okay, I think I can make it bold. So font weight should be bolder. Yes, and then I can also give some margin bottom. Let's say 10 pixels. Yes, and then I have body. The body is where I have all this text. Okay, so for body I can give the margin bottom just to separate this thing, and then I'm just giving some random styles. Okay, so I'm giving some font style of italic. Okay, and yeah, that's it for the body. Yes, and then I have my publisher. For publisher I want this to be let's say text decoration. Oh, sorry. Text decoration underline. Okay, and that's it for the CSS, right? Okay. Okay, so you guys can see so far I have only one component, and that is my app.js component. So we have in the last session we've learned about like what a component is, but we haven't quite implemented it yet. We talked about reusability and component nesting, how we nest a component, but we haven't implemented it yet. But this is the time you can see that I have three same looking cards, right? And I've put all those, all these three cards inside my app.js file, and that does not make any sense of React. Okay, so let me do one thing. Let me just create a folder inside my source directory called as components, where I'll keep all my component, right? And you can so since this is a card, so I'll call my component as card, right? So create a new file inside component, and I'll call this as card, or I'll call this as posts.js, right? Okay, so what I'll do, I will simply just take out all my everything that is inside my app.js or app component, and I'll remove it, and I'll simply paste this inside. Okay, so type RAFCE. If you haven't, then you should have this extension called as ES7 React Snippets. Okay, so this kind of this gives us a boilerplate. By using some these shortcuts, you can create the entire entire component. Okay, so I'm going to delete this div because I'm going to paste mine, which I've copied from app.js. Okay, so yes, so this is complaining because this is saying that okay, let's read the error. It says that JSX expressions must have only one parent element. Okay, and in this case we don't have any parent component. So what we'll do, we will simply wrap this with, so we'll simply wrap this with a div. Okay, and hit save, and now you will not see anything because we have taken out everything to the post file or the post component, but we haven't, the entry point for our project is the app. Okay, so everything you want to do, you will have to put it here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to import post, and it gives me the hint to import it. So I'll just press enter, and here you can simply use posts, and this stacks on top of each other. And the reason why it is because now I have another div, so I'll simply remove this div and I'll use React fragments. Okay, so these are called as React fragments. So I'm not wrapping it inside the div. What I'm doing is I'm basically making a fragment. So this is not div, this is some fragments. Okay, and I can see that, because if you will create a div inside a div and that parent div is a flex container, then the div which is inside will be a flex item. But I don't want that to be a flex item. I want these to be flex items. Okay, so I've removed that div. Alright, so now I have three cards like we had in my app.js. So I can see now it is more readable, because now I know that inside my app there is one component. So this is component, right? So the definition of component, it returns some JSX, and this is JSX. Okay. Alright, so now we have taken out our card logic to the post file or post component. But one thing which is kind of a trouble, that my post component is rendering 3 cards at the same time, and the card seems to be quite repetitive, right? And we have the same text and the same, so why do it 3 times in my post? So the solution which comes to my mind is that I can create another component and I'll call it a card, because it has a class name of card and it looks like a card, so why not make it a card? Okay, so inside my component, what I'll do is I'll simply create a new file or a new component which will be a card.js, and remember it's card, not card, so I want to put one card in there, right? And I'll again do the same thing, which is rafce, which gives a react arrow function with an export. Okay, and if I hit save, nothing, because I am not calling it from my app.js, or I haven't imported it. So remember, if you want to render something, you'll have to import it somewhere at least, so that app can import that. Okay, so in the end, app is the thing where you will have to import it. Alright, so inside my card.js, what I want to do is I will take out this entire thing and I'll cut it. Okay, and I will just simply remove this and I'll paste it, and I have one parent. In this case there will be no error, because you can see that this card is the parent. Okay, so everything is inside the card, so that is why we don't have any problem over there. Okay, and this is also my card, right? This is again a card. So, and I have written the logic. I mean, it's not the logic, but I have hard coded the values, so I can remove it, I guess. So I will remove this, and this is again the card, so I will remove this. So now I will be thinking that what this will render, and you have guessed it right, this will render a card, right? So I'll simply say card, and it gives me hint to auto import it. So if I press enter, it will auto import it from the card file. And now if you can see, then it renders one card, right? But we had 3 cards, so I'll just copy it 3 times, as simple as that. So now I can see I have 3 cards, right? And this thing which I did over here is that component is calling post, and post is calling, and the post component is calling cards. So these are like nested components, right? Nested components. And now you can see that with this code, what I'll say, code splitting, now I'll if I have to use card in some other part of my React.js, let's say inside my post I have another div, or I'll say some section where I have a paragraph, let's say lorem 10. Okay, just bear with me, I'll show you. And I can use card over here also. Okay, so now I can see that, so this is actually a white in color, so that's why. But you get the point that I can use card anywhere in my app or in my component. So this means that this gives me a power of reusability, so I can use card wherever I want. But hold on, my card is actually rendering the static values, right? So what is the solution? Because post is rendering multiple cards, but the card is the value for the card the title is same, the body is same, and the publisher is also same, right? So that's the problem. So I mean, we can see the point of reusability and nesting, component nesting, but reusability is like we are halfway there. Okay, we are not completely reusing it. Let's say I have to make a card where I have some email values or some name and etc etc. So how I'm going to do it? Okay, so there comes the next topic, and this is called as props. Right, so we'll talk about props. So what are props? So if you remember from the last to last session, I told you about the props, and the props are the data that we send from one component to another component. So in this case, the data that I sent from app.js to post.js, and the data from post.js to card.js. Okay, so in React we have this parent-child relationship where we can pass data from parent to child, but not the other ways. Okay, we cannot send anything from card to post. Okay, so we can only send something from post to card or to cards. Okay, let me do one thing now. Let me just so what I'll do, I'll simply create something like as okay, so const, so I'll hard code some values. Const title, let's say I want to give it a title, so title is my first book. Okay, and again the const should be body, should be I don't know, so this is body, let's say. Okay, and then I have const author equals, so this is also a string which has my name. Okay, so I have three constants. The first one title, body, and author. Now what I want to do is I want to pass these values so that my card can somehow digest it and use it in these places. Okay, so what I'll do is inside my first card I will simply give this a value of title, and see that the value goes to card is title, but the title will have the value of title, which is this title, right? And similarly I can also pass body, and body will be this body, and then again author, or I can just to tell you, I can call this writer, and I can pass the value of author in it. Okay, and I copy this and I'll paste it over here. Okay, so I have passed the value, but still the data is same because we in the card.js we are not consuming it. Okay, and if you want to consume this, so in these parentheses between these we can use a keyword called as props. Okay, and if I console log it that what prop has. Okay, so simply if I go to console, I can see that it has object which has values like body, title, and writer, and this is exactly what I passed from my post.js, right? So this is an object basically, right? A prop is an object, and it has the keys like body, title, and writer. So if I want to use my title, because I don't want to hard code it, I want to use it like the values which post is passing down to card. So remember I told you that this is not like HTML, this is JSX. So JSX means that I can use JavaScript inside it, and the way I use JavaScript is by using curly braces. And now I can use my prop constant or prop variable or prop object, and I use dot operator, and I'll use simply title, and let me hit save just so you can see it says my first book, and my first book. And the reason why it's printing the same because I have hard coded it, so that's why every single card is getting the same value. Similarly with the body, I can remove it and I use props dot body, right? And I know that it will work. So what I'll do is, so here what I can do, I'm not going to remove the entire text because I just want to remove the name. So I will simply use props dot, it was writer, right? So now I can see that, okay, you won't notice the difference, but there is the difference, right? And you can also do this. So let's say I want to change, so the author for the last one should be, you know, Sam. So as you can see, the third one has a value of Sam, and the body is I am very busy man. Okay, see. So now I can see that this component is reusable because it is not showing the hard-coded values, but it is showing the values that post is passing to us. And you can also do one thing. What you can do is you can take this thing out, cut it, paste this inside the app file, and simply just so now what I'm doing is I'm passing values to post from app.js, and the post will pass it to card.js, right? So this is called as prop drilling, sorry. Body and author. Okay, so now inside this I will just remove props. I'll take it props, and then here I'll pass props dot and props dot, and I'll just simply cut it, paste it, sorry, I shouldn't have cut it. Okay, so now you can see that I'm passing values down from my app.js to my post.js, and my post.js is passing values to my card.js. So these values which I'm passing, they are called as props. All right, and the another way where I can if I want to omit this prop keyword, so what I can do, I can simply destructure my values, which will be title, and these values should be exactly like the equal to these values, because that's the value which is passing from one component to another component. So if you want to destructure it, destructure means that taking everything out from props. So let's say title, and then I have body, and then I have writer, sorry, not writer, author. Okay, and now what I can do, I can simply remove this, and it's saying prop is not defined because now I cannot use prop here. So I'll simply just remove these two, and I'll copy this twice. I can see it works. Awesome. Okay, so we can also pass a value of time, and we'll replace this with prop dot let's say created at. So we can do something. So the values we are passing is called as props. So prop is something. Prop is when we pass data from one component to another component, or from parent component to child component, to be precise. Okay, so alright guys, so this was about props and components. So I hope you really enjoyed it. So make sure to like, subscribe, and yeah. So see, there are different things you can do with a component, right? So in this case, you can also customize the color of single card. So in this case, I have put it, everything inside my CSS file. But what you can do is you can somehow, create a logic so that every card should take So this is my card. So what you can do is a card should also take a value of style from the props, so that it can show any color which the which I want, so I can use it anywhere. Alright, so thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.